Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're wading into some pretty deep waters. We're talking about things that are quite literally invisible: radio frequency, RF, and electromagnetic energy, EM. Now, if you spent any time on the darker corners of the internet or even just kept up with international news lately, you've heard the stories. People reporting strange sensations, headaches, heat, disorientation, or even hearing voices, convinced they're being targeted by high tech harassment devices. It's easy for some to dismiss this as sci fi or paranoia, but if we're being honest, the reality is more nuanced. We live in a soup of signals. Your Wi Fi, your microwave, your cell phone, they're all part of the spectrum. Today, we're going to look at the actual science. What can these frequencies do to a human body? What is a weapon versus a rumor? And how do we make sense of the very real distress people feel when they think they're in the crosshairs of an invisible beam? Physics of the beam. Let's start with the hard science. When we talk about RF weapons, we aren't talking about magic. We're talking about directed energy. In the scholarly world, RF weapons are a subcategory of directed energy weapons, DEWs. Most of these work on a simple principle: thermal coupling. How it works. Think of a microwave oven. It uses a specific frequency to vibrate water molecules in your food, creating friction, which creates heat. The active denial system, ADS. The military actually developed a heat ray for crowd control. It fires a 95 GHz millimeter wave. It doesn't penetrate deep, but it makes the surface of your skin feel like it's on fire. It's non-lethal, but it's a very real RF weapon. But what about disrupting neural activity? That gets trickier. Our brains are essentially bioelectrical machines. In lab settings, very high intensity pulses can interfere with electronics. Think of an EMP. Theoretically, if you hit a nervous system with enough concentrated energy, you could cause a glitch. However, doing that from a distance through a wall without cooking the person or blowing the power grid, that is an incredible engineering challenge that we haven't seen proven in the public record yet. The fray effect in hearing voices. One of the most haunting claims in the world of EM harassment is people hearing voices or clicks that no one else hears. This is often where people get labeled as unwell. But there is a fascinating bit of history here called the fray effect, or microwave auditory effect. Back in 1961, American neuroscientist Alan Frey discovered that certain pulsed RF signals could actually be heard by people. It wasn't through the ears, though. The pulses caused a tiny, rapid thermal expansion in the brain tissue, creating a pressure wave that the inner ear picks up as sound. Key takeaway: it is scientifically possible to beam a signal to someone that sounds like clicks, buzzing, or even words in their head. However, there's a catch. To do this, you need massive amounts of power and very specific equipment. It's not something your neighbor can do with a modified router. While the capability exists in a lab, the leap to widespread covert harassment is where the evidence starts to thin out. Havana syndrome mystery. We can't talk about this without mentioning Havana syndrome. Starting in 2016, U.S. diplomats in Cuba and later elsewhere reported anomalous health incidents: dizziness, ear popping, and cognitive fog. The National Academies of Sciences actually looked at this and concluded that directed pulsed RF energy was the most plausible explanation for some of these cases. But then, later intelligence reports suggested that many cases were likely due to environmental factors or pre-existing medical conditions. This is the heart of the non-judgmental approach we need to take. If high-ranking diplomats with top-tier medical care can't get a straight answer on whether they were hit by a frequency weapon, imagine how a regular person feels when they experience similar symptoms. The human element. So what are these things really? The truth is a both/and scenario. RF weapons exist. They are used for jamming drones and, in some cases, non lethal crowd control. The technology to cause biological discomfort via EM waves is real, but we also have to account for the biopsychosocial aspect. Our bodies are sensitive. Stress, environmental toxins, inner ear issues, and even the nocebo effect, where believing you are being harmed actually causes physical pain, are powerful forces. When someone says they feel attacked by frequencies, the pain is real. The headache is real. Whether the source is a secret government being or a complex neurological response to a high stress, high tech world, we should treat the person with empathy. We are living in an era where the line between the signal and the noise is getting harder to find. Thanks for listening. Keep your sensors tuned and stay curious.